Hello, and welcome to the Fantasy Football Fanatics, or the FFF if you're feeling like an extra fantasy football freak. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about the risers and fallers after week 1 of preseason when it comes to fantasy drafts and honestly, just football in general. Okay, I'm done with that voice. Let's just get into it because this might actually be a longer episode today. We're just going to go game by game. I'm just going to say my thoughts on each player. I watched every single preseason game. Honestly, a little footballed out, not going to lie, after that, but super excited for the season to start. So let's just get right into this. And we're going to start with the Colts at Ravens. Looking at my notes, there's actually really not much for the Ravens to talk about, but the Colts have quite a bit. Anthony Richardson is the first thing. Not that I would necessarily draft him, because, well, he's in the middle of a QB battle with Daniel Jones, so we're, one, not even sure if he's going to start. And two, he kind of showed his fragility this past preseason game. He dislocated his pinky finger on like the 5th play or something. It says they're not sure how long he'll be out for. Honestly, I just think it's very unfortunate because I kind of want to see him succeed. I want to see him take those steps towards success, but he can't seem to catch a break with injuries. And I read that the dislocation itself is minor, but it once again shows how fragile he is. So maybe that gives the nod to Daniel Jones. And honestly, Daniel Jones looked bad as well, if I'm going to be real. Daniel Jones was 10 for 21 with 144 yards. I didn't get to see him play, if I'm going to be real. I can't remember why I wasn't... Oh, yeah, I wasn't able to watch the rest of the game because the Eagles, and I'm a Bengals fan, came on. And I forgot to record it. It said, when I looked up his stats, it said he was looking sharp, but the stats kind of say otherwise. 10 for 21. I mean, he does have 144 yards. That's averaging out to 14.4 yards a completion. But he did make a couple nice and tight throws and extended a couple plays, I will say, from looking at the highlights. And I see the completion percentage, and it's not much better than Anthony Richardson's. So I'm kind of worried about drafting a Colt receiver. But this is just one game. Also, let me preface this. This is just week 1 of preseason. Very small sample size. Everything can change. I'm just talking about my current thoughts and opinions. And honestly, week 2 is going to say some stuff too. Week 3. But it's really not going to say much. I mean, it is going to say some things for some players. But it's not going to say much until the actual season starts. So take all this with a grain of salt. I mean, there are a couple players that I'm pretty excited for. I'm not going to lie. Pretty excited for based off of just this one preseason game. But yeah, so again, take this all with a grain of salt. Please don't think I'm just hating on some players. I'm not. I'm just going based off of what I see and what I think about it. So, also, like I said, I'm not bringing back to Daniel Jones. I wasn't bringing up his stats for draft potential because there's so many QBs that you could draft, like above Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson for that matter. You could draft Bryce Young, probably not Matthew Stafford right now, but like Trevor Lawrence. There's a lot of deep guys, like late in round guys. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm more bringing this up for how it affects the rest of the offense. So, and I mean, I'm pretty big on Jonathan Taylor, if I'm going to be real. I hope they incorporate him more in the pass game. But, yeah. So, let's just keep going because there's a lot to talk about with these games. Tyler Warren is next. He honestly looked really good. He had 3 catches for 40 yards and seemed to be kind of all around the field. I mean, I don't really know a lot of these rookie players I'm seeing a lot of these rookie players for the first time on the field. So I wasn't necessarily sold because I didn't know how he played. But I'm getting there. Okay, he looked good. And obviously I need to see how he does next week as well if he plays. But yeah. Adonai Mitchell. He seemed to also look good with 2 catches for 37 yards. Now, I'm going to say this, like, because I'm thinking, like, deep leagues, like 12 teams, 14, whatever. Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs didn't play. And like I said, with the QB play, like 10 for 21, and until Anthony Richardson shows that he can step up with his completion percentage, I mean, that's around the same, I guess, in my mind. So I'm a little scared to draft a Colt receiver, if I'm going to be real. But yeah. Keaton Mitchell. This is the only Raven that I have. He looked very explosive. 9 carries for 68 yards and a touchdown. Now, he is on a team that has some running back depth, but if he were to get some opportunities, he might be a sleeper, such as like Justice Hill going down, or I mean Derrick Henry, but he's a beast, so I wouldn't count on that. But like I said, like for some running back depth, like he looked very explosive. Like, okay, pop off. Okay. Those are all the players that I got from the Colts at Ravens. Also, if I can figure out how to make the chapter type things, then I will divide these into chapters on the in the video. So yeah, so you can skip to each game if you want to hear about maybe a specific player. But anyway, now we're moving on to the Bengals at Eagles. Overall, I don't think this really said much about fantasy implications for this game. We already knew that Chase Burrow connection was there and is insane and amazing and the best in the league, obviously. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen that Chase highlight, go check out that Chase highlight. Well, Chase and Burrow highlight. That was sick. The guy that got his ankles broke, immediately cut. Just kidding. It is Jamar Chase. But anyway. But the starters did play for the Bengals for 2 drives, which I thought it was only going to be 1 drive, and I was pretty excited, obviously. I mean, scared that one of them would get hurt, but excited, obviously. Chase Brown, definitely going to be a workhorse back with a lot of volume, was on pace for over 20 carries in the game. Averaged 4.6 yards per carry as well, so looking good. I'm huge on Chase Brown, and a lot of people are also huge on Chase Brown because in my 12-team league, I'm doing a lot of mock drafts, and he used to fall to me in the 3rd round. He is not. He is like going late 2nd, early 3rd, and I'm the 8th pick in the 12-team league. So, yeah, he's not falling to me anymore. A lot of people are high on him, and I don't blame him. Yeah. T. Higgins had 1 target and didn't catch it, which was surprising to me. Very small sample size, but possibly less volume than we think. I mean, I was pretty big on T. Higgins. I thought he was going to get a pretty big workload, lots of volume as well. But out of 2 drives, he had 1 target. And I'm pretty sure he played both drives. And I mean, we know Jamar is the clear number 1 receiver, but we also would think that T is the number 2. And so maybe I'm a little bit wrong on my thoughts with him getting a ton of volume. I don't really know. But yeah, I mean, this is, again, 1 game. But yeah. And then I want to talk about Shamar Stewart. Looked great. Lots of pressure. A tackle for loss, which in my notes I put tackle for TFL and then loss. So it's tackle for loss, apparently. And again, he didn't play that long that I can recall. But he looked good. Looked very agile, and I'm pretty excited. But going on with the Bengals defense as a whole, I am worried as a Bengals fan. That was not the Eagles starters, and they struggled. So hopefully it's still just figuring it out. But as a whole, they looked bad. Yeah. So maybe it's just trying to work with Al Golden, get that new scheme going. But yeah, so hopefully they get it figured out. I mean, this is preseason week 1, and I'm gonna do the same thing I think for preseason week 2. So catch me on that too. So subscribe for that. Also, Desmond Ridder. Bro had a touchdown, no interceptions, and about the same completion percentage as Browning. Browning did not have did not have a touchdown. I think he had an interception. I could be wrong. I was kind of high on the Bengals picking up Desmond Ridder because he's still young, still developable, and I think he could be a really good backup QB to Joe Burrow. And honestly, if Joe Burrow were to go down, obviously he's not Joe Burrow, but I would feel a little concerned, but I would feel a lot better, in my opinion, like how I would feel. But anyway, there's a lot of Bengals talk for this not really being fantasy implications. Jermaine Burton, that's because I'm a Bengals fan. Bro looks so much better, and that return, that return, I thought he was gonna take it to the house, but so glad that he's looking better. He didn't, but he was not going down without a fight. You should look up that Jermaine Burton return highlight. It was pretty freaking good. And then Tanner McKee, he looked good. Yes, it was against the Bengals defense, but that as a backup QB, if I was an Eagles fan, I would feel pretty great about that, just in the instance that Hurts would go down. Or that he just sits because you guys are winning like 25 billion to 3. So, also I'm putting this as a note for myself. Also, because I'm on social media a lot, Insta, I get the sports Insta all the time. I see so much slander on Jalen Hurts. Okay? Give him some respect. Bro just won the Super Bowl. Bro just won Super Bowl MVP. Yes, he did not have that many passing yards, but he did what was needed to win. But yeah, he did what he needed to do to win. And obviously it worked. So stop with the Jalen Hurts slander. He is a good QB. Okay? And this is coming from a Bengals fan that, quite frankly, does not like any Pennsylvania team, if I'm going to be honest. The only team that I semi-like from Pennsylvania is Penn State. Just saying. So, and then also the last notable player for this on the Eagles is actually Will Shipley. Yes, he's behind Barkley, but he looked really good as well. 7 carries for 48 yards, 6.9 yards per carry. Like, Will Shipley, he might, yeah. Okay, but that's it with the Bengals Eagles. I talked about them enough. There was literally like no fantasy implications there. But anyway, Raiders at Seahawks. This I'm going to get so much hate for. Okay. Ashton Genty. Okay. I know this is a very small sample size, but he did not look good. Okay. The numbers show it as well. 3 carries for -1 yards. He got stuffed at the line. Didn't look explosive, but there was a lot that I was not impressed with. And I know I'm going to get so much hate for this. Very much going to watch how he does in future games and see where he's going in drafts. But I was not impressed. Yes, he's probably going to get a ton of volume still. But if he's not getting yards, does it really matter? Because, yeah. Especially for where he's going in drafts. In the first, beginning a second. I'm not going to invest in that. Again, I am well aware this is one small sample size of preseason game, week 1. I will make sure to continue watching preseason if he even plays. I hope he does, because he did not look good, and I think he needs to continue playing, personally. But for where he's going in drafts, it is super... I mean, you're drafting him to be, like, literally a top 5 running back. Because you got, like, Saquon, Bijan, or Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm trying to think of the other running backs being taken. And I think it's Ashton Genty. So, I'm just saying, yes, this was his first preseason game. And I hope I am wrong. I hope I'm wrong and I see him do great in future games. But I am not, as of now, drafting Ashton Genty. Because maybe it's not even Ashton Genty's fault. Maybe it's the offensive line. Which again, though, if he's going to get a ton of yard or a ton of volume, and it's not a good line, and he can't do anything because of how bad the line is, he's not worth a first or second overall pick, in my opinion. So, and I know I'm going to get hate for that, but anyway, let's keep going. Jalen Milroe, I didn't get to watch the game, but when he was playing, his stats weren't terrible. Went 6 for 10. I think it's pretty good. 61 yards. He did run for 38 yards on 3 attempts, though. So, yeah, take that as you will. Now, I am super, super freaking excited for this next game that I'm going to be covering. It is the Browns at Panthers. Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, I've stated multiple times, I'm a Bengals fan, okay? But I am excited to watch Shedeur succeed on this team. Really just to succeed in general. But, yeah, he looked really good. Yes, he missed a few wide open easy throws because I watched like this whole game. But that could be nerves or first time playing in an NFL game type of stuff. And I know you could, by the way, say that about Ashton Genty. Okay, I know. Just saying. But he still went 14 for 23 for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. He put on a show, and I'm very excited to see how he does in the future. I'm cheering him on, and I want to see him keep rolling, keep proving the haters wrong. I'm done with the Shedeur Sanders slander. Ooh, Shedeur Sanders slander. Okay. Yeah. I'm kind of done with it. Okay. Let bro cook. And honestly, if you see the meme of Deshaun Watson and Dylan Gabriel on the sidelines, I would be a little worried too, I guess. But this is, yeah. So I want to see him keep going. Keep going. Okay, you got this, bro. You got this. Cheering you on. But now we're going to the other QB, Bryce Young. I'm not going to lie. After the first drive, I was like, here we go again. But they got it clicking together in the next drive. He went 4 for 6, 58 yards and a touchdown. Glad to see him doing well. Honestly, I've been drafting him as my backup QB in most of mock drafts because I can take him in like the late in the draft, like 14th, 15th round. And he looked really good at the end of last season, and I hope he keeps it going. Keep the confidence up, bro. Like, you got this. You have proved that you can do it, so keep doing it. Like, come on. You got this. Let's keep going with the Panthers. Actually, I don't really have anything else for the Browns other than Shedeur, which I'm very happy for Shedeur. Like, keep it going, bro. Chuba Hubbard had 3 carries for 10 yards, and while he didn't have a reception, I'm pretty sure he had a target. I tried to look at the game stats, but it wasn't showing targets. But based off of what I watched, I think he had a target. The offense also seemed to start with Hubbard, starting with a run. And yeah, honestly, could be a safe pick this season. Could be a safe pick. He didn't look terrible. That's 3.3 yards per carry. Well, 3.3333 yards per carry. And the offense seemed to start with him. So, and they seem to want to establish a run game because they're starting with him. So, he could get quite a lot of volume. But then that gets us to Rico Dowdle, which I will say he is obviously a big concern when it comes to Chuba's fantasy output. If I remember correctly, Chuba played the first drive and possibly another set of downs in the second drive. Then Dowdle took over, going 3 for 7 yards. So Chuba was still more efficient, but I worry I see that more this upcoming season with more committee, I guess. But I mean, I'm not really that worried. I put that in there, but I'm not really that worried. Like Chuba would be, depending on how you draft, he would honestly be a pretty good running back 2 or flex. So yeah, I'm not really worried. Now Tet McMillan. Honestly, I don't know how to say his first name. So I'm just gonna call him Tet McMillan. I don't mean any disrespect. I think it's Tetairoa. I don't really know. But Mr. McMillan, he could actually be a really freaking good pick. He had 2 catches for 43 yards. He had 5 targets. 5 targets. Like, honestly, he looked good. He got plenty of targets. He could actually be a steal. Like, I wasn't the biggest on him. Like I said, I don't really know a lot of these rookies because I don't really watch college that much except for the Buckeyes. I watch the Buckeyes, but yeah. He could actually be a steal. Like, where's his ADP right now? Because some of these guys, where's he going? PPR, he's going like 73, which that's like 6th round, 7th, beginning of 7th round. I mean, that's pretty good for what I saw. He had five targets on first 2 drives. Yes, he only got 2 of those, but yeah, Ted McMillan could be Mr. McMillan. I'm gonna call him Mr. McMillan just so I'm not disrespectful. I will figure out how to say his name. And then Adam Thielen, he had the target and the reception, so he still plays and didn't retire. I'm just kidding. I knew he didn't retire. I'm looking at the stat sheet, but I thought that he had to drop the ball or failed to catch a ball that was thrown low. Yeah, ESPN only had him with 1 target, though. I mean, Mr. McMillan is going to be he's based off of this game, unless Bryce Young was just trying to see. Yeah. Although Bryce Young wasn't his only QB. But anyway, that he played with that game. But okay, moving on to the Lions and Falcons. I do not have anything to say about any player except for Maurice Norris. And prayers up for him. I heard that he was doing well. I read an article. It was mostly just a headline, but heard that he was doing well. And honestly, that was actually really scary to watch and see. And I hope that he does have a speedy recovery. And I'm praying for him, his friends, his family, his teammates. I cannot imagine if I was there in that game, especially if I was on the field, like Falcons and especially the Lions players that like got to know him, made a bond, everything. But yeah, that stuff is very scary to see. And from that article title that I read, it sounds like he's doing better. But yeah. So that's it for that game. The next game that I have notes for is the Commanders at Patriots. Apparently, I didn't get to watch this game, so I'm pretty much going off of stats alone and things that I saw on the highlight reel. Oh, okay, yeah, because I was like, I thought I watched stuff, but yeah, it was the highlight reel that I watched. Travion Henderson. As someone, like I said, that watched OSU, bro is explosive. He opened it off with a kickoff return for a TD touchdown. He looked fast, cut through holes perfectly, and obviously that was just a great play in general. He also had 1 rush for 18 yards. I do not expect him to average 18 yards a carry during the season, but that just shows his explosiveness once again. And he had 3 catches for 12 yards. Honestly, I still see Henderson more as a flex than a RB1 or 2. I forgot Antonio Gibson played on that team still, but Ramondre is going to get a lot of carries. I see Travion Henderson as being a put him out with the on the line and change of pace back, like, yeah, third down back. And I see Ramondre still staying the main back. So that's why I kind of say a flex. I mean, unless things change, but just based off of this game, because Ramondre still had 7 carries for 36 yards. I still expect him to fully be a 3-down back, and Henderson being a change of pace back. And then Antonio Gibson also had a huge return as well. Gibson surprisingly had 6 carries as well. So we can't really forget about him during the season and could quite possibly take carries away from Henderson. I don't see him taking... I think Ramondre is going to be the clear RB1 still. But just based off of this, like I said, I don't know if Antonio Gibson got all those carries with the second strings. Like, I don't know if he got it with the third strings. But, yeah. So, I mean... But the main thing is that Ramondre still got 7 carries for 36 yards. So, yeah, I see Travion being more of a change of pace, third down back. But, yeah. Drake May went 3 for 5 for 12 yards and had a pretty funny / embarrassing fumble. It was only funny because I watched it in slow-mo and thought it was funny. He did use his legs to run in for a touchdown. But to be honest, like, just based off the stats alone, I mean, that is a 60% completion percentage, but that's only averaging 4 yards of completion. Again, small sample size, but I'm definitely going to be sure to watch that with future games if he plays in future preseason games. Yeah, I guess we'll see Patriot receiver-wise, which honestly the only one that I'm looking for is Stephon. I think Stephon Diggs is going to get an insane amount of targets. Yeah. But I guess we'll see. And there's no way Stephon's not starting week 1. Like, bro is like working out and everything. Like, he's going full on training camp, which... Go him, bro. Insane. It would probably take me like 20 years to recover from an ACL tear, just saying. So, yeah. Anyway, Giants at Bills. We're going to start. Okay, I know I'm probably going to get some hate here too. We're going to start with Russell Wilson, mostly through shallow checkdowns and dump offs. Did complete one long pass to Wan'Dale Robinson, threw 3 short throws to tight ends, threw a lot to tight ends in general. So if Russell Wilson starts for the majority of the season, I guess maybe have like Daniel Bellinger or something as your tight end. I don't really know. I will say, before we continue with the Giants, because I have nothing... No, I do have something with the Bills, I guess. We'll continue with the Giants. Tyrone Tracy Jr., lots of rushing attempts. I'm pretty sure Cam Scatterbo was injured. That's why he didn't play. But anyway, Tyrone did not look too explosive. Lots of single-yard or 2-yard pickups. Did have like a 5-yard run, though. Yeah, I guess we'll see. There'll be more on that once Cam Scatterbo plays or gets some action, I guess. Jackson Dart looked pretty freaking good too. 12 for 19 for 154 yards and a touchdown in the first half. Honestly, I would be pretty happy if I was a Giants fan and hoping that Russell Wilson does not play half the season and he plays like the first 3-4 games from a fantasy perspective. And honestly, yeah, from a fantasy perspective, Russell Wilson's probably the worst QB for players. I mean, I guess we'll see as the preseason and the season goes on, but Russell Wilson did throw he threw one long pass to Wan'Dale Robinson. And everything else was like shallow checkdowns and dump offs and stuff like that, and short throws to tight ends. So, yeah. So, honestly, the way Jackson Dart looked, he might, I'm not going to say start the season, but he might get some playing starting time towards later in the season. Jameis Winston. I love Jameis Winston. Bro was throwing deep and a little reckless. He threw an interception that got called back because of an offside penalty. He just keeps slinging it. Honestly, for fantasy purposes, please don't stick with Wilson. That I put 2 crying emojis. Yeah, threw a dart for a touchdown and threw a nice pass for a 2-point conversion. Honestly, I kind of, if I'm going to draft like Malik Neighbors, which if I'm going to be real, based off of this preseason game, which again, 1 game, small sample size, 1 or 2 drives, I'm putting Malik Neighbors a little down on my rankings if Russell Wilson's playing for long. Yeah. Anyway, and this sounds like just a hate thing for Russell Wilson, but George Pickens, how did George Pickens do? How did he do in 2024? Where's he at? Okay. And he played 14 games. He had 59 receptions, 103 targets for 900 yards, and 3 touchdowns last season. And George Pickens was their number 1 wide receiver. Yeah, kind of hoping. Yeah. Although I didn't think about this, Russell Wilson. Oh wait, never mind. For some reason in my mind I just went to Russell Wilson playing for the Steelers still, and I was like, well, Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf do have a connection, but never mind. That was kind of stupid. Anyway, yeah, I guess we'll see if they play. I know Malik Neighbors is questionable. Nothing serious, but yeah, injury wise. Anyway, onto the Bills, though. Mitchell Trubisky. This is not specifically about him, but from the first drive, and again, this is Mitchell Trubisky and not Josh Allen, but there did not seem to be a clear number 1 receiver. I'm pretty sure this is wrong, but it's what I wrote, so maybe it's not. No receiver got multiple targets, those being Palmer, overthrew a lot. Coleman got a flag on the play, and Knox caught the ball and worked out a few more yards. At least I think it was Knox and not Kincaid. I was also tired when I was writing the game, or my notes for this game, so yeah, I mean, this was Mitchell Trubisky and not Josh Allen, but yeah. Also, just to let you know, James Cook suited up and refused to play because Sean McDermott wanted Cook to play, but he did not. So keep that in mind while he's holding in, I guess, for contract extension negotiation stuff. So moving on to the next game. Texans at Vikings. JJ McCarthy, he looked really freaking good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of a hater of JJ, and I'm a little bit less of a hater now. He looks really good. He was making plays, accurate throws, and don't get me started. There's a reason why I have Jordan Addison on the front. I put like my biggest thoughts, like my biggest players' thoughts on here, like pictures of them. His connection with Addison is really good. 3 for 3 with Addison, which we'll talk more about that once we get to Jordan Addison. But yeah, his connection with Addison looks pretty freaking good. He has dual threat ability, ran for a first down as the pocket collapsed. All throws to receivers, not running backs or fullbacks, has been to Addison. And yeah, JJ is obviously hurt, not playing. Jay Jettas, Justin Jefferson. And honestly, I didn't really expect him to play if he was healthy. But he's dealing with, I think, hamstring, which is a little questionable because that is a reoccurring and lingering injury. But it's probably nothing major. But yeah. Moving on to Jordan Mason, though. He looks pretty good. He looks healthy, just based off my eye. Looks like Mason is averaging 4 or 5 yards per carry. I'm going to fact check myself right there. Vikings preseason game. I'm very curious on how wrong I'm going to be on this. Jordan Mason. Oh, I'm so good. 5 yards a carry. Exactly. Okay, Adam. Okay, pop off. Anyway. Yeah, so he looks pretty freaking good. And Aaron Jones is getting older. I should say older. And that was his first fully healthy season and coming off of a lot of carries last season. So Jordan Mason could be a steal. Just saying. Anyway, now we'll move on to the other Jordan. I just mixed Jordan and Addison together. Jordan Addison. Like I said, his connection with McCarthy is really good. He was catching some high and behind throws, low and short. Bro can catch a ball. Like, genuinely, he can catch a ball. Now, obviously, there's the suspended for the first 3 games of the season. So keep that in mind if you want to draft him. And Justin Jefferson was not on the field. But if Justin Jefferson does have this hamstring injury and it's lingering, Jordan Addison, after the first 3 weeks, Jordan Addison could really pop off. Just based off of what I've seen this game. JJ likes to throw to Addison. And yeah, and Addison can catch the ball. So yeah, especially with a questionable Justin Jefferson hamstring. Yeah, I am targeting Addison in a lot of my drafts. Let me see what his ADP is real quick. I should have put down ADP for a lot of these players. He's going 41 overall in PPR. Ooh. Why do I feel like I can get him later than that? On ESPN, overall PPR, he's going 96. I was like, what does... Okay. Okay, so... Yeah. That is... How far is that? That's like 7th, 8th round. I would not mind targeting Jordan Addison pretty late for that. Like, yes, there is the potential. Well, he's going to miss the first 3 games. That's not very... Potentially, that is going to happen, I think. I mean, that he might be able to appeal it. I don't really know how that works. But as of now, he's going to miss the first 3 games. So, yeah. And Justin Jefferson did not play during this game. So I guess that could change if Justin Jefferson does play. But he might not be bad, especially because my league is 2 flex positions. He might be a really good flex. Anyway. He also caught a lot of touchdowns last season. And J.J. McCarthy might be the real deal. I mean, there was a lot of hype. I'm giving a lot of hype for one preseason game. But anyway, Lastly, TJ Hawkinson, he had no targets. I wonder if when Addison serves his suspension, I don't know why I put S on that, if he'll be looked at a lot more, with Justin Jefferson possibly. Also, maybe injury. I don't really know. There is a lot more games to go through. I'm definitely gonna have to put the chapter things on this for the video. Okay, let's move on to Jets at Packers. I'm just gonna say this: the Packers offense did not look great. They looked pretty sloppy. They got some work to do before the regular season. There was a lot of drops. Yeah. Jordan Love targeted Dobbs the majority of the time. I don't know if that's exactly true because I feel like I would put down an actual number. Maybe it's just how I felt. Honestly, not bad throws. Romeo Dobbs dropped his first target and was not able to haul in his second. Matthew Golden had one target, was fouled on it. And that's really all I have for the Packers. I mean, their offense did not look good at all. So, yeah, then just one preseason game, but got a little bit of work to do. Okay, now on to the Jets. Justin Fields, other than one pass to Garrett Wilson being inaccurate, the majority of Fields' passes actually looked pretty good. He only missed the one that was to Garrett Wilson. Of course, he also shut off those legs and ran in for a rushing touchdown, which that's honestly, I think, the biggest reason why you're drafting Justin Fields, for his legs, because he's also going to get you some passing yards, but his legs are going to get you quite a lot of points as well. I'm personally targeting Justin Fields. I think that the Jets are going to be better than what the credit is. Like, I think that people have seen enough Justin Fields and like, oh, he's not good, he's inaccurate. I believe in Justin Fields. I think he could get it done. Breece Hall didn't look terrible, but as we're going to get on later, did not look nearly as good as Braylon Allen. Honestly, I'm avoiding him in fantasy. If I'm going to be completely real, I'm avoiding Breece Hall. He said himself, the Jets are not the team. Like, he's not their guy. And it kind of showed it on the field, if I'm going to be honest. Again, just a little bit. But it kind of just feels like that's the vibe in general you get from Breece Hall and the Jets. Just even before this game. I mean, Breece Hall would not have said that if he didn't feel like that was actually true. So, yeah. I'm avoiding Breece Hall. Garrett Wilson had one target, but was thrown too outside for him to catch. Yeah, that was Justin Fields' one pretty inaccurate throw. Again, small sample size, but you never know, I guess. So I still think Garrett Wilson's going to get a lot of targets. But yeah. Then moving on to Braylon Allen. He looked really good, really powerful, and had some big breakaway runs as well. I could see him taking away bigger load in the run game. And this is partly why I'm avoiding Breece Hall. He looked good. Braylon Allen looked good. So watch out, Breece Hall truthers. I mean, I think Breece Hall is still going to get volume, like some volume, but I think it could be cut out if the season goes on and Braylon Allen's looking better. I mean, the Jets are going to do whatever they can to win, so yeah. I mean, Braylon Allen, yeah. I'm kind of big on Braylon Allen after watching this game. Okay, moving on to the Steelers. And Jaguars. At Jaguars, I actually have a lot to talk about this game. I feel like this game said a lot, or at least put up a lot of questions for it. I actually only have one thing to talk about when it comes to Steelers, other than I hate the Steelers, and honestly, Mason Rudolph looks kind of good. So, Yeah, not that it really matters. Aaron Rodgers the starter, but I mean, if anything would happen, I mean, Mason Rudolph has looked good in the past. So, yeah. Anyway, we're going to start with Caleb Johnson. I think he is the one biggest takeaway from this game. He had 8 attempts for 20 yards for 2.5 yards per carry. I would say the stats alone aren't terribly great, but he definitely fights for extra yardage. Again, I don't really watch college football that much, so this is a lot, me seeing these players a lot for the first time. He is definitely a physical running back like Najee. I assume he's going to be filling that role. He did have a nice 9-yard gain through, but saying that was one attempt and almost half his yards, you can imagine how the rest of his runs went. He got stuffed. He also had a drop on a pass where he's wide open, and I don't think that he should have dropped it. Again, though, nerves. First NFL game, even if it is preseason, it's still your first NFL game. I imagine that you're feeling a lot of pressure. I was big on him, but we'll see as the preseason goes on. I don't think that the Steelers had starting offensive linemen, and I don't really know how good the Steelers' offensive line is. I'll have to look into that. But Johnson played in this game, but they said starters weren't playing, or possibly not many starters were playing. So what does that mean that Jaylen Warren will be the feature back? I mean, that's kind of just the question that I have. Especially I feel like Caleb Johnson, isn't he going before Jaylen Warren in drafts? And it's Arthur Smith. I don't know. Didn't Arthur Smith also prefer Najee over Warren as well? And if Caleb Johnson fills that role, I feel like that kind of just brings up a question mark. But anyway, I mean, they already know how Jaylen Warren plays, not Caleb Johnson, so I guess that's also why he could have started this game and not Jaylen Warren playing. But yeah. Anyway, moving on to the Jaguars. Travis Hunter caught 2 catches for 9 yards. He looks quick and elusive, but wasn't able to get too many yards after the catch, other than I think his second catch, he got like 5 yards, or a few yards after he caught the ball. I don't know the specific number, but if you watched the game, you saw it. Yeah. He also apparently got cooked on defense. I wasn't really paying too much attention to that, but it's a preseason game. He's athletic. He's going to be fine. Travis Etienne Jr. I have a lot of notes on the Jaguars running backs. Etienne had 2 attempts for 6 yards, making 3 yards per carry. While he hasn't looked explosive in his rushing attempts, he did catch a ball for a screen pass / dump off and was able to get quite a bit of yardage from it. So I think he's still the main back on the Jags, and a lot of people have recency bias on him, which I think that's very valid for burning you last year, me included in one of my leagues. But I think he might be slept on a bit. I think he's going pretty low. He went 2 for 6 yards and a catch for 10 yards. Like I said, he might be a steal this draft just because of how low he's going, because he's going pretty freaking low. That being said, Tank Bigsby had 6 attempts for 24 yards, so 4 yards per carry. Honestly, I know what I said earlier, but he did look like a little bit better of a runner than Etienne. He even went out to the line as a receiver twice. And I remember the talks of, Etienne's going to be the pass catcher. Tank Bigsby's just the runner. He went out to the line twice. He didn't get targeted and had no catches, obviously. But maybe that is a little concerning. He's also been manufacturing yards out of nothing. So I guess Tank Bigsby could be the future. Who knows? The only thing that isn't concerning is that they are keeping him out on the field ever since Etienne went back, and Etienne only played the 1 drive with the starters. So at least on the depth chart, he's still the RB1. Also, I apparently updated it that Bigsby, as because I was watching the game for this one as I was putting down notes. Like I didn't watch the game and then type my notes after. But I apparently updated myself and said Bigsby played as a receiver 3 times. So, which then by Schultuten, I don't know if I'm saying that right. 6 attempts for 24 yards, 4 yards per carry, and a touchdown. He looks very fast and elusive. Do I think he's going to immediately take the roles of Bigsby or Etienne? No. Do I think in the future he could? Yes. Or possibly if one of the 2 running backs ahead of him gets hurt. So, like I said, I feel like this game kind of actually gave a lot of question marks for the running backs. I mean, Travis Etienne could be a steal. Tank Bigsby could be a steal. Tootin could be a steal. Yeah, I guess we'll see as the preseason goes on. Trevor Lawrence now. His accuracy was actually pretty good. I'm not going to lie. I am a little bit of a Trevor Lawrence hater. All of his throws have been on target. And let me explain why. If you compare the stats, they're very similar to Daniel Jones, but who gets called a rising star and who gets hated on? Just saying. That's why I guess I'm a little bit of a hater. I'm not even a Danny Jones fan, like at all. Like Danny Dimes, more like Danny Pennies. But anyway, but yeah, all of his throws look pretty good. I don't know if he has a completion or an accuracy issue or not. Let's look at some receivers. Brian Thomas Jr. caught one of his 2 passes for 8 yards. As a whole, there wasn't any deep shots, which, if I'm going to be real, I thought he was a deep receiver. Anyway, he was clearly Lawrence's first look, so don't be worried. Britton Strange had 1 catch on 1 target for 11 yards. Had a really nice slant route, or at least I think it looked nice because he was open. He got open from it. The reason why I have him tracked is because I'm curious to see if he fills the Ingram role that was left, because in PPR, that is extremely good for a tight end. So I'm keeping him on my watch list. Yeah. Moving on to the Broncos at 49ers. This episode has been going on long, and expect this type of long episode next week as well when I do this. If starters play or anyone notable. But anyway, next to the Broncos at 49ers, I have Bo Nix. He went 6 for 11 with 31 yards. I put that the accuracy seems kind of hit or miss, a couple overthrows or underthrows, but they were under pressure. I will give him the benefit of the doubt there. Throws to a lot of receivers that seem pretty contested. Honestly, I could be a hater because I'm not very big on him this year, but he didn't look as great as people are drafting him to be, and not like that atrociously bad. I'm not going to forget to mention the safety/intentional grounding sack, but really the 49ers just brought some insane rushing pressure on him. Yeah, maybe it's just because people are drafting him so freaking high. But I'm always hesitant on QBs at their sophomore year because the sophomore slump, I mean, CJ Stroud did it perfectly. Or not perfectly, but like perfect example of it. I mean, Sean Payton is a really good head coach, and he's going to help Bo Nix in any way that he can. But I don't know. I isn't Bo Nix going like before Baker Mayfield? Or around there. I'm looking this up. Yeah, okay, let's see. QB. Obviously, yeah. He's going way before Kyler Murray. I would even say before Justin Herbert. And I'm not a big Justin Herbert fan. Like, I don't know about that one. Chief. And honestly, even Justin Fields in the sense of his rushing ability. I guess Bone... Does Bone... I don't know. I don't know. He's going and like I'm trying to do some quick math. He's going in like the 7th round. So yeah. Which we'll get to Kyler Murray in a second. But anyway. I actually have nothing on the 49ers. RJ Harvey had 7 attempts for 25 yards, 3.6 yards per carry, 1 catch for 4 yards on 2 targets. Again, it wasn't showing the amount of targets for running backs on their stat lines, but I think he had 2 targets. He opened the game with the first stringers, which is a good indication that he is going to be before Dobbins, because he looks really fast and elusive as well, because Dobbins was playing. Keep in mind that, because Dobbins had no rushing attempts or yards, but the catch for 4 yards came in on 3rd down, interestingly enough. Does that mean he's the 3rd down back while Harvey is the primary one? Or since he was there also on the 1st down after that, do you think it's more of a committee? Harvey came out right back out after that, though, so it wasn't like Harvey was done. So, I don't know. I think RJ Harvey's going to be more of the main back, personally. But I guess that's all speculation right now. Again, 1 preseason game. I'm just going to keep telling myself that so I don't get too hyped or too down on some players. Anyway, Cortland Sutton, 1 reception on 3 targets for 2 yards. No surprise, he seems to be Knicks' go-to target. Like, that's not a surprise. Dang, I had a lot for the Chiefs Cardinals. We'll just start with the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, 1 for 1 with 1 yard and a touchdown. I am not drafting him at all. He looked absolutely terrible. Yeah. I'm just kidding. There's not much to say, though. He's Mahomes. And I'm not trying to be the announcer that you hear that's like, oh, glazing Mahomes yet again. But he has won 3 Super Bowls anyway. Although, I would like to point out 2 things. I did notice 2 things. Maybe I'm making a bigger deal out of it. It was 1st and goal from the 1 yard line, and Mahomes did not throw it at Kelsey, which I thought is interesting because I feel like Kelsey is like his go-to target, especially like 1st and goal on the 1. Like, bro is a big boy and he can catch the ball. So I don't know. And 2, Mahomes did make a comment, I think a while ago, about wanting to throw deeper this season. So I'm very intrigued to see if that becomes reality. And if it does, please, Xavier Worthy, please. Okay, now moving on to the running backs for the Chiefs, because that's the only other notable thing in my opinion. Kareem Hunt had 2 attempts for 12 yards, 6 yards per carry. He was out with the 2s. I'm not too worried about him taking too much volume away from Pacheco. They'll probably be relatively the same last year and the year before with their roles. I say and the year before because Pacheco was injured last year, but I mean when they've been on the field together. Isaiah Pacheco, 1 attempt for 8 yards per carry. He actually looked very good and powerful. You know how he has his little power run that like he looks like he's putting a lot of work into his run. Yeah. On a singular rushing attempt, he looked like that. He looked like he's back to speed. I think people are a little down on him after last season and the way that he played when he came back from his injury, and I don't think he was totally healthy when he came back. I'm not worried about his efficiency. Now, volume, we'll see. He did start on the field with the rest of the ones instead of Hunt and stayed on the whole, extremely short, but whole drive with the ones. There was a pick. Yeah. Or no, there was a fumble on the opening kickoff. So, yeah. So it was a very short drive for the ones, but he was on the field the whole time. So now we go to the Cardinals. Kyler Murray was 7 for 8 with 96 yards and an interception, while having 2 attempts for 9 yards, so 4.5 yards per carry. I don't know why I keep saying that. It's a very small sample size, so that's not really that much of meaning. But for the most part, his accuracy wasn't bad. But honestly, what was that interception, if I'm going to be real? He threw it literally right at the defender. I will say, it does seem like Murray is spreading the ball around a little more. This could just be preseason, I guess. Chemistry, like trying to build chemistry with other players, or maybe it's a sign of what's to come. Again, not much of a sample size, but both of the main receivers got big catches though. The second drive for Murray seemed to be a lot of handoffs and like a jet sweep type thing. But yeah, Marvin Harrison had a catch for 15 yards. Harrison had a really good open catch, and he slid for it. I mean, not too much to say. Obviously, he's a lot more physical now because he's putting on all that muscle. But yeah, I seem to have forgot to put Trey McBride down, but he had a catch for 21 yards. I do remember, and yeah, so now to the Cardinals running backs also. I apologize for that. James Conner, 3 carries for 11 yards. He made a nothing rush into a 3-yard rush, so he still kind of got it. There's not much to say about him. He's going to be the running back one, but maybe a few less carries to keep him healthy. He is getting older, but he still looks like a powerful, angry runner. So, yeah. And then Trey Benson had 9 carries for 29 yards. Benson did replace Connor while the ones were still out there, so maybe it's a preseason caution or possibly what could happen during the season. Less carries for an aging Connor to keep him healthy, possibly. Yeah. Aging, when I say aging, I just mean like running back aging. Anyway, Cowboys, moving on to the Cowboys at Rams. I literally was not able to watch this game. I thought I recorded every single game. I did not. All I have is Blake Corum, 9 carries for 32 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, Kyren Williams will still be the running back one. He was just paid, but I thought that was pretty cool. Who knows if Kyren Williams gets injured or whatever, Blake Corum could be the dude. Now, this game I was super excited about. Titans and Buccaneers, only because of what I heard. I did not get to watch this game live. Nothing on that. Sorry, I had to get a drink of water, my voice. But Cam Ward was 5 for 8 for 67 yards. And other than the first drive when he went 0 for 2 in the 3 and out, he looked poised and accurate. He looked good. And his connection with Ridley, that makes me very excited. Ridley had 3 catches on 3 targets for 50 yards. Clearly, his wide receiver one, Tyler Lockett, also had a catch. But before actually being able to watch the game, I saw the highlights of him and Ward, and they look totally in sync with one another. I'm very excited to continue watching them. And his ADP of 76.3, 6th or 7th round, depending on your league size, I'm very much wanting to target him in my drafts. Like, seriously. Like, that could be a late round steal. Cam Ward and Calvin Ridley seem to be totally in sync with each other. Not even on the same page, but like the same like letter on that page. Like, they look good. But anyway, moving on to the running backs, Tony Pollard, 9 yards on 4 attempts and a touchdown. He is still clearly the lead back for the offense. I think it's going possibly a little under the radar. No, they're not going to be elite level out of the gate, but I think that people are still undervaluing a lot in this offense, which is including Pollard. He's going to get a pretty good amount of volume, especially with Tyjae Spears potentially being out for week 1, which leads me to Tyjae Spears. He suffered an ankle injury that will be a few weeks, ending his preseason, but unsure if they'll suit up for week 1 of the regular season. So I'm quite excited for the Titans offense, not going to lie. Like I said, I'm really excited for Calvin Ridley. Honestly, probably should have put him on the little graphic, but anyway. Yeah, moving on to the Buccaneers. Emeka Egbuka and Jalen McMillan. Emeka looks great. Well, 1 catch for 21 yards on 2 targets. I'm pretty sure he was overthrown on one of those. Barring Chris Godwin and his availability, I think Egbuka could get a decent amount of volume this season. But don't forget about McMillan. 2 deep shots for Egbuka makes me very excited. But this is with Trask and not Baker. I don't think we know or have seen enough yet to know. And with McMillan, he had 1 catch for 25 yards on 1 target. The first play of the game was a deep shot to McMillan. He emerged towards the end of last season, and I don't really think he's going to go away. I don't think we know or have seen enough, so it really kind of just a huge question mark. I don't think Chris Godwin's going to start playing at the beginning of the season, so yeah. And then the last player for the Bucs is Rachaad White. 6 attempts for 28 yards, 4.7 yards per carry. People need to realize that White is not disappearing from this offense, okay? People need to realize this and drill it in their heads, and they're drafting Bucky at his ceiling. Like, 25th pick, usually, which is beginning of the 3rd. I mean, that's not terrible. He was going a lot higher. But, I mean, White is still going to get touches, barring his groin injury that he suffered during the preseason. But personally, because of how high people are on drafting Bucky, I'm probably going to pass on him because they're drafting him at his ceiling. I had Bucky Irving last season as well. And, like, what made him so valuable was I think I picked him up off the waiver wire. Like, genuinely, I think I picked him up off the waiver wire. And then he ended up doing that. But now people are overvaluing, and Rachaad White is not going anywhere barring this injury. So, moving on. We got 2 more games. This is a longer thing. I'm actually going to Saints and Chargers because I don't really have anything for the Saints and Chargers other than I just wanted to give you the Saints QB stats. Spencer Rattler was 7 for 11 for 53 yards. Also 3 rushing attempts for 22 yards. And Tyler Shook was 15 for 22 for 165 yards and a touchdown and an interception. So, yeah, I just wanted to give you that. Based off of playing time, Spencer Rattler was probably their wide receiver 1 right now, but I think Tyler Shook has better stats. I mean, they're about the same. Actually, Tyler Shook is better in completion percentage, yards, and a touchdown, but he did throw an interception. So, anyway, moving on. Dolphins and Bears. I was really excited to watch this game, and this is the last game that we're going to be covering. Until they didn't start Caleb Williams. I thought that this was going to be an offense that needed to have their ones starting. Their ones did not start. And so, yeah. I did hear, though, that they went through, like, a exercise of, like, 70 plays before the game. And that was pretty taxing. So, I mean, obviously Ben Johnson knows what he's doing. The Lions last year. But anyway, I just thought that I was really excited to see Caleb Williams play, DJ Moore, all of them. I think they're exciting to watch. Personally, I'm cheering for Caleb Williams, and yeah. But on the Bears that did play was Colston Loveland. Caught 1 ball for 8 yards, had 2 targets on the first drive that ended up being a 3 and out. And then Luther Burden had a target but no catches. Personally, I'm not exactly huge on him for fantasy purposes, but I included him. The Bears have Adunze, Loveland, Komet, and of course their relatively recently paid wide receiver 1, DJ Moore. So Luther's pretty low in my opinion. I mean, maybe he might break out barring an injury, but Adunze is going to have a breakout in my opinion. So, yeah. Now, moving on to the Dolphins. Devon Achane had 3 rushing attempts for 22 yards, 7.3 yards per carry. He looks super explosive. Like, literally, he looked nuclear and has gotten a decent amount of carries on the singular drive that he was a part of. He actually only played half of the first drive as well, so imagine if this was an actual game, he might have been given Wright's attempts, which would have been 7 for 1 drive, because Wright had 4 attempts on that drive. He had no targets, though, which I thought was a little shocking, saying a decent amount of his fantasy value is through receptions and receiving yards. But overall, he looked very good. I was not big on Achan, but honestly, this has started to pique my interest just a little bit. Because I was like, oh, Achan's going really, really early. 14.4 early second round. Like, he's piquing my interest just a little bit. So, might have him on my radar. Because I have been drafting Jonathan Taylor at the beginning of the second round, if I'm going to be honest. So, but yeah. And then Tua, he looks pretty accurate. Honestly, not much to say about him, but I think he'll be fine. And Jalen Wright had 5 rushes for 4 yards. He looks pretty efficient. I don't imagine he'll cut too much into Achan's volume, though. The stats don't speak with what I said, but a lot of those attempts were goal line stuffs, which the Bears are notoriously known for being based on last season, like stuffing at the goal line. So, yeah, this was a lot longer of an episode than I thought it was going to be. If I am going to be real, I was going to post it later today, but I think that I'm going to create the little chapters on the video itself. And there was just a lot of info to go over from the first week of preseason. But yeah, so without further ado, if you guys enjoyed this, I'm going to try to make more videos. But like I said, I might make it more selective next week, just so it isn't as long and there's not as many names, so I'm not constantly talking in my throat and vocal cords. But anyway, without further ado, that is the end of this episode 3, and hopefully, yeah, you guys enjoyed, and don't totally flame me for my opinions in the comments below, but they are just my opinions, and your comments are your opinions as well. And if you would like to comment, then go for it and say your opinion, say what I'm right, say what I'm wrong on. Yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next video or next podcast, whatever this is at this point. Peace.